welcome back to Review the Light. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new Olight M18 Striker. It's an update to the Olight M18 Maverick. But before we get into it real quick, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, there should be a link right up here in the corner. Go ahead and click on that and hit subscribe for me. So, the Olight M18 Striker, like I said, is an update to the M18 Maverick. I believe I'll be able to put a link into a video over that in a minute. It comes in Olight's kind of standard packaging. You can see it's a pretty neat packaging. The clear plastic box displaying the light. It's kind of fun. Some of the stats about the light there. A little bit of information on the back, on the other side. So it's just kind of a neat packaging system, which I appreciate. So we'll go ahead and open it up. Here on the top, you have this little section that holds the various accessories. So that includes spare tail cap rubber switch boot, a couple of Olight little pamphlets for other Olight products, the user's manual, you can keep that handy, and a lanyard, still a standard Olight lanyard. They seem to have these with most of their lights. Little Olight logo there on the side, adjustable. Pretty basic, so nice to have around, but I'm not really into the lanyards, so we'll set that aside for a moment. And then here is the light itself. So the M18 Maverick, the Striker, uses the Cree XML2 emitter. You can see that down there, and it's in a fairly smooth, pretty smooth reflector, I'd say. And obviously small diameter, a little bit deeper than some in its class, but overall it's going to be fairly floody, with just a little bit more throw than some others. One of the distinguishing features, you can easily tell the M18 Striker apart from the Maverick, is this strike bezel. While I don't believe it would be appropriate to recommend hitting anybody with it. You can form your own opinions on what the Striker bezel here with these kind of pointed crenellations might be used for. You can just, imagine that on your own. So we've got the M18 logo here on the side, Striker model number, and on the other side the Olight logo. Pretty simple. The bezel is removable. It's on there pretty tight, but you can unscrew it if you desire. And I don't believe I mentioned yet, but we've got the blue O-ring in there. It seems Olight might be switching from a red O-ring to a blue O-ring. They like to have a fun colored one in there, but it seems like in the past it's been red, and now I've seen more blue. So I don't know if that's just a coincidence or what the deal is there, but it's just kind of fun. So we've got a smooth head, except for this section here is kind of a hexagonal pattern. Helps give good grip at the head. It doesn't come apart there, but it just helps you grip the light better. And then you've got this removable clip, so you can just pull on it. It's pretty tight, so it's not going to come off on accident in most situations, but it will come off. See, it's got the ears on the clip. Give a better close-up. That helps get it on and off without scratching into the anodizing. Yeah. So there's a clip. The Olight kind of rectangular or square knurling pattern there. It's fairly smooth, so most of your grip on the M18 Striker is going to come from the actual shape of the light itself, but it is nice to have that knurling there. It keeps it from getting too slippery when it's wet. Then the smooth tail also, and the switch on the tail, you can see protrudes well beyond the edge of the tail cap, so you're not going to be doing any tail stands with the Striker, but you are going to have much easier access to reach the button from the overhand grip. Though if this was raised, that can sometimes get in the way and you have to hit your thumb up and around it, but with it flat like that, really easy to do the overhand grip and activate the switch easily there. So let's open it up. You can see here it comes with a CR123 or 16340 spacer, so if you desire you can use two CR123 lithium primary cells or two 16340 lithium ion rechargeable cells. You slip them inside the spacer, negative end here, because the spring can kind of reach it even beyond that little lip that holds the batteries in. Positive end on this side, and then you slip those in there. Or you can use a single 18650 battery, which has a slightly larger diameter. And you can see that there's a spring at the other end to make connection with the positive end of the battery, so that helps in the event of an impact. It can still make connection with the battery. It can still buffer the light in the battery a little bit, so that hopefully neither is damaged. And also a spring on this end for that same purpose. And also the spring on the positive end means that if you have a flat top 18650 cells that don't have the button top, they should still be able to make an electrical connection with the light. So we're going to go ahead and slide in a battery. Like I said, I prefer the 18650 batteries. Screw the tail cap back on. The M18 has a very simple user interface. So compared to the Maverick, had a few more options in the user interface, a few more modes. The Striker is made for simplicity. So whenever you turn it on, originally it's got a forward click tail switch, so if you half press it you get momentary on, or if you click it into position all the way you get constant on until you click it again. So the Striker version of the M18 always comes on in high mode first, so if you just do a click, either momentary or full press, it comes right on in high. And I apologize for the blueness, that's just my camera's white balance settings. In real life it's just a pretty clean white. You can see though the pattern caused at the edges of the beam by the crenellations on the bezel. Yeah, you can notice those. Of course, at larger distances, those are going to fuzz out and won't really bother you at all, but they are there. So, like I said, it always comes on in high the first time, and if you turn it on and back off again, and then on again quickly, then you get to the low mode. So, there's the low mode. You see I did a quick on and then clicked it into position on the second time, and I got into the low mode. So you've got high, or if I leave it off for a second and then do 2, I get to low, which is still fairly bright. And then if I do it 3 times, on the third I get the strobe mode. So I'll back it up a little bit so you can see the difference between the high and low a bit better. So there's the high, there's the low, and there's the strobe. So again, the first time you turn the light on, it always is in high. If you turn it on and off 2 times, sorry, that was 3. Turn on and off 2 times, it goes to low, and then 3 times it's strobe. So it always does that. Very predictable user interface. You always know what it's going to do. So this is more for situations where you're going to need the light to respond in a certain way every time and know exactly what it's going to be doing. A very simple user interface, very reliable. And again, you can think of your own situations where you're going to want that, but obviously it's going to be useful. You always have the max brightness right off, and you don't ever have to worry about what it's going to be doing or how to get it to do what you want it to do. So it's a very useful feature of the user interface. So this has been the indoor look at the M18 Striker. Stick around for a second and we will take it outdoors. Hello and welcome back to Review the Light. We've got the Olight M18 Striker here in my backyard. So we're going to fire it up and take a quick look at how it does. So it always comes on in high mode. There it is right there. You can see the crenellations do affect the beam pattern, although at longer distances that becomes less and less really a problem. And there it is in the low. So let's look at how it does around. So here's a low mode on a nearby tree up there, and there's the high. You can definitely see it's lighting up that tree above my garage really well. And as far as the area around, like I said, not a lot of spill, usable amount, but a fairly narrow beam overall. So stick around another minute more and we will take it out to a small field nearby. Hello and welcome back to Review the Light. We've got the Olight M18 Striker here out in a small urban field, and we are going to see how it does in the dark. So I'm going to do my best not to hit any nearby houses with it. If you remember, it comes automatically on in high every time. So here we go. Here's the high mode, and we'll look at it up close. You can see the definite pattern that comes from the long crenellations on the bezel. Those do stick out into the beam. You can see it up close, but as you get farther away, obviously the effect is diminished. But it is true that overall the spill on this light is a lot less as far as angle goes than many lights. So that's obviously good in some situations, maybe not so much in others. So you're certainly less likely to get noticed from the side. But also you obviously can't see as much on your own sides, so it's a trade-off there. But you can see we've got some illumination of that tree far away. You'd be more visible if there wasn't a light in that parking lot. But let me scan across the field here. There's a tree right over there that's lit up by the beam in my eyes, but you can't really see it much on the camera. So this is again the high mode. So just for comparison here. Looking at this tree, there's the high, there's the low with the double click, and there's the strobe. So this has been the M18 Striker by Olight, and again, if you have not yet subscribed to Review the Light, go ahead and check it out. There's a link right up in the top right. So thanks, and have a good night.